If you're working towards building the life you want and you're struggling to get there, or maybe you feel lost in it, or maybe you feel directionless and you want to set some goals around it, this is the video for you. Today, that is the goal I'm going to accomplish with you guys, is that I'm going to help you set goals when you feel directionless to build the life that you want. For you, those of you who don't know me, my name's Richardson, and I make these videos here to kind of share some of my experiences and my knowledge to hopefully pass it on to you, to hopefully be of help so you guys can learn these lessons without having to go through all the hardship, without feeling directionless and stuck, because I've been there and it's not fun. So I want to help you work through that stuff and set some goals so you can really be excited about. But before we get into goals, because goals is going to be the third piece of this framework I'm going to go through today. Now, I have a 4-step framework for us to go through. I apply this framework in my life almost everywhere. I apply it to myself. I apply it to my coaching clients. Now, I learned this framework from my mentor who has been using it for 30 years. So this framework does work, and I'm going to go through it all today. So the first step, and maybe the most important, is to identify that you are directionless or that you do want change in your life. And this piece is to stabilize. You want to identify and define, I'm directionless, I'm stuck. Because I think it makes you think different. Once you've finally identified, okay, I got to stop doing what I'm doing and I try a different strategy. Because an example of this is someone in my life hates her job. I mean, she absolutely hates it. And for so many years, she was like, no, I need to try this, I need to do that. And if she would identify, you know what, I'm directionless and I'm stuck within this job, I need to make a move. To be able to understand that can help you set goals in a different way, if that makes sense. So if you're feeling a lack of motivation, if you just feel like you're floating along in life, if you're feeling like you're stuck, it may be because you're directionless and you need to identify that you are. Because once you do that, you can start to look at the causes. You can look at, am I in a transitional period in my life where this is kind of normal to feel? Have I reached a level of success and I need something else to pursue, or I can't break through this level of success? Looking at those 3 things, you can look at the causes, and then once you identify the causes, you can help with the next 3 steps within this framework. And again, with this, accept these feelings without judgment. Accept that you feel this way, and don't judge yourself for feeling this way, because it's normal to go through life and feel these things. And if you're able to accept, okay, I'm stuck, I'm directionless, I'm gonna try a new strategy, I think you'll be really happy where you end up a year or 5 years from now, because you're able to identify that you are, and then you worked past that, because that brings us to our second step, which is to visualize, what does amazing look like? What does amazing look like 12 months from now? What does amazing look like 5 years from now? Asking yourself that question will then help you identify what to work towards. Because you're going to look at what does amazing look like. And if you're struggling to define that, I encourage you to think about these 4 situations. These 4 situations being, if you had unlimited money, what would you be buying? What would you be working on? If you had unlimited time, and what I mean by this, let's say you had a really rich aunt, she passed away. You weren't really close to her, so it's not too big of a deal. You're savvy, and it's not too big a deal. But she had a lot of money. And she said that, I'm going to give you twice what you make per year, but you have to be working on something you enjoy. What would you be working on? If you had a 3-year expiration date, what would you do? If you're going to die in 3 years, what would you be working on? What would you pursue? What would you do? And if you were at your 100th birthday, what are some of the things you'd want to be hearing? What's some of that legacy piece? So by identifying those 4 situations, you can look at, okay, what can I do to get unstuck? Like, oh, you look at the 4 situations and maybe you realize you want to be a Game and Parks Ranger. You do the unlimited time when you're like, you know what, I want to be a Game and Parks Ranger. I'm not really too concerned about money, but I really want to make an impact in nature. Then you know that's what you want to do, and you can start to work towards that. So that's the awesome thing about those 4 situations. It'll help you identify kind of what path to take, what to look at to help you get unstuck and directionless. Because you can also, another thing you could do with the 4 situations is to look at what are some people in your life that you admire and then you look up to. Not saying you should compare yourself to them, but what are they doing that you admire? Because then you can start to look at, okay, well, I really admire the work they do. That's some work I would enjoy doing. So, or I really admire the way they work. Maybe I just want to work really hard, so I want to set a really big goal and then work towards that. Or I admire how they're always there for their family. So it's just looking at those things, what do you admire, can kind of show you yourself what does amazing look like. And now with these 4 situations and looking at the people you look up to, why do you feel that way? I think by looking at why, it can help give you fuel to drive towards that. So for me, I want to be very wealthy and impact tons of people's lives. And not just wealthy for the status, but wealthy because I believe that if I have more money, I can impact more people. I think I can get my message further out there. I feel like I can donate more money to people in need because personally, a big driver, a big reason that I want to be successful is I feel like I have a soft spot for people who are disabled, for people who are born disabled, because personally, I feel like I was dealt 2 aces. In terms of the opportunities I've been given and my health, I really am so grateful for what I've been given. And for those people that haven't been given that, I want to give back because they would do anything. They would do anything to be in my position. And so that is why I want to share that wealth with them, to hopefully give them an opportunity, to give them another shot. Not saying they don't have a shot in life, but to just give them more. And so that's why I want money. And it helps when I understand my why, I'm able to just understand and push through. So that's my goal. You know what? Like I have my direction. It's like, this is my fuel. This is why I'm going to drive towards that. So that can be helpful for you to identify your fuel and why you want to do it. Now that brings us to our 3rd piece, is that how are you going to get there, and setting goals. The reason you probably clicked on this video is how to set goals. So with your goals, what I would encourage you to do is set them in a work-focused mindset, not an outcome-focused mindset. So what I mean by this, for example, my quarterly objectives are right over there. One of them is work 20 hours a week outside of my day job. And so with that, it's completely work-focused. I can control that completely. I can control if I carve out the time to work 20 hours. And so it's identifying that, okay, the work is the goal, and then my prediction related to that is that I will get a certain amount of clients or whatever it may be. So for you, it's having a work-based goal with an outcome. So for you feel directionless, you're gonna set a work-based goal, and then you're gonna add a prediction on top of that you maybe identified in your 4 situations, an outcome you would like, what does amazing look like. You kind of see where I'm going with that? And I would also encourage you to do the SMART goals. You know, everybody's heard that, but it's true. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, or reliable, I don't know, and then timely. So identifying those 5 and then working through those SMART goals can be helpful. And I would encourage you to set daily, weekly, quarterly, and yearly goals because I feel like those are really good time trackers. For me, my daily one is just my sticky note. My weekly one is my hours per week, and that is part of my quarterly one as well, but I have other quarterly ones. And if you need help identifying some goals in some areas, I'd encourage you to take the balance wheel in the description below because that's going to highlight your professional life, your relationships, your resources, and your health, helping you figure out where do you want to set goals and what do you want those goals to look like. But I would encourage you to wait till the end of the video to do that. Set daily, weekly, quarterly, and yearly goals. Now on top of that, with your strategy piece and setting these goals is what do you need to make these happen? Do you need time? Do you need experience? Do you need support? Do you need money? Kind of look at those things that go into your strategy to help you get that direction and set those goals because that can be helpful. Sometimes you just need the support of a family member. Sometimes you need a little bit more time to understand, okay, these are the skills I need, stuff like that. You just need to identify those things within your strategy because our 4th piece and our final piece of the framework is action. Execution. This is the most important piece in my opinion, is you can do all these other 3, but the 4th piece is you need to take action on all these things that you've thought about so far and your goals that you've set out to do. And with this action, you need to look at anticipating challenges. Now, with these goals you're setting, anticipate challenges in the work, in the actual doing and the skills and stuff like that. In the outcomes, maybe you set a work-based goal, the outcome doesn't happen. That's okay. You did your work, so you're successful, but you still want those outcomes. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to change your strategy to get those outcomes? And you might have some mental roadblocks or barriers along the way that you struggle to, get that direction, or you don't hit your goals and you feel, bad about it, whatever it may be. But identifying these barriers ahead of time can help you be more successful with them. So then also with that, you want to look at how will you overcome these barriers? Think about them beforehand, and then how will you overcome them? I would also encourage you to learn from your failures. When you fail, the only way to lose is to quit. So as long as you don't quit, you will be okay. It's important to just keep going. Okay, I failed. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? How can I move on? Boom, keep going. I failed again. Same process. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? How can I move on for this? Just keep going. The only way to lose is to quit. It's from Alex Ramosi. It's one of my favorite quotes from him. Again, the final thing is with these goals is to celebrate progress. Today, I hit 5,000 messages, cold DMs sent manually. I think that's really cool. I don't know how I'm going to celebrate it yet, but it's something fun for me, so I just encourage you to celebrate that progress as well. So that was building a life you want and setting the goals when you feel directionless.